Hello and welcome to Refugee, the Isabel's chapter 14. Last time we were in with Isabel, she was in the boat and they were just about to leave. And Lewis and his girlfriend had jumped on board, which Isabel's dad was not happy about. And they'd been shot at and their boat was taken on water. Oh dear. Okay. This is a picture of, here we have Cuba, and here we have the United States. This is Florida. And this is here's the nearest part of the United States. So this is 90 miles. The 75 minutes here shows if you flew from Havana to Tampa. Obviously, it's going to take this family way longer than 75 minutes to travel to the United States. So they are one day from home. Senor Castillo was in charge of the boat. No one had voted or named him captain, but he had built the boat, after all, and he was the one at the rudder, steering it. So that kind of put him in charge. He didn't look happy about it, though. He kept frowning at the motor and the rudder like there was something wrong. But besides a quick patch job of stuffing a sock into the bullet hole, everything was good. So that's how they fixed the bullet hole. They didn't put their finger in like some of you suggested, but they stuffed it with a sock. The lights of Havana had faded to a speck on the horizon behind them, and they had left all the other boats behind. Isabel clung to the wooden bench she sat on, squeezed in between Ivan and her grandfather. Their boat was barely big enough for 7 people, and with Lewis and his girlfriend, they were practically sitting on top of each other. So they were 10 people. I think it's time we met the other person on board with us, Isabel's grandfather said. Isabel thought he meant Lewis's girlfriend, but instead he pushed some of the sacks of food and jugs of water out of the way and pointed to the bottom of the boat. Staring back up at them was the huge face of Fidel Castro. Lewis's girlfriend gasped and then suddenly exploded with laughter. Soon, all of them were laughing with her. Isabel laughed so hard her stomach hurt. Even grumpy Senor Castillo chuckled. "Ha ha, I needed something big and thick for the bottom of the boat," he said. And seeing as there were so many signs around with El Presidente's head on them, I thought, it was true. Castro's face was everywhere in Cuba, on billboards, on taxis, in picture frames on schoolroom walls, painted on the sides of buildings. Underneath this painting were the words, "Fight against the impossible and win." Well, Fidel is thick-headed, Lewis said. Isabel put her hands to her mouth but couldn't help laughing again with everybody else. You weren't allowed to say things like that in Cuba. But they weren't in Cuba anymore, were they? Do you know what the greatest achievements of the Cuban Revolution are? Isabel's father asked. Education, public health, and sports, they all said together. It was a constant refrain in Castro's lengthy speeches. And do you know what the greatest failures are? He asked. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the adults answered back, as though they'd heard that one many times before too. Isabel smiled. That prompted someone to break out food and drinks, even though it was late. Isabel sipped from a bottle of soda. How long will it take to get to Florida? She asked. Senor Castillo shrugged. By tomorrow night, maybe. Tomorrow morning we'll have the sun to guide us. All that matters now is we get as far away from Cuba as we can, said Lewis's girlfriend. And what's your name, pretty one? Lito asked her. Amara, she said. She was very pretty, even in her blue police uniform. She had flawless olive skin, long black hair, and full red lips. No, Lito said, fanning his face. Your name must be Summer, because you're making me sweat. The girl smiled, but Isabel's mother slapped Leto on the leg. Pappy, stop it! You're old enough to be her grandfather. Leto just took that as a challenge. He put his hands over his heart. I wish I was your favourite song, he told Amara, so I could be on your lips forever. If your eyes were the sea, I would drown in them. Leto was given her piropos, the flirtatious compliments Cuban men said to women on the street. Not everyone did it anymore, but to Leto it was like an art form. Amara laughed and Louise smiled. Maybe we shouldn't talk about drowning, Pappy said, clutching to the side of the boat as they chopped into a wave. What do you think the States will be like? Isabel's mother asked everyone. Isabel had to stop and think about that. What would the States be like? She hadn't had much time to even imagine it. Shelves full of food at the store, Senora Castillo said. Being able to travel anywhere we want, any time we want, said Amara. I want to be able to choose who I vote for, Louis said. I want to play baseball for the New York Yankees, Ivan said. I want you to go to college first, his mother told him. I want to watch American television, The Simpsons, Ivan said. I'm going to open my own law office, Senora Castillo said. Isabel listened as everyone listed more and more things they were looking forward to in the States. Clothes, food, sports, movies and travel and school, opportunity. It all sounded so wonderful, but when it came down to it, all Isabel really wanted was a place where she and her family could be together and happy. What do you think El Norte will be like, Pappy? Isabel asked. Her father looked surprised at the question. No more ministry of telling people what to think or else, he said. No more getting thrown in jail for disagreeing with the government. But what do you want to do when you get there? Senor Castillo asked. He hesitated while everyone stared at him, his eyes searching Castro's face on the bottom of the boat as though there were answers hidden there. Be free, Pappy said finally. Let's have a song, Leto said. Chabela, play us a song on your trumpet. Oh dear, what happened to her trumpet? Isabel's chest tightened. She told her parents what she'd done, but she hadn't told Leto. She knew he would never have let her do it. Leto, I traded my trumpet, she confessed, for the gasoline. Her grandfather was shocked. But that trumpet was everything to you. No, not everything, Isabel thought. It wasn't my mother and father and you, Leto. I'll get another one in the States, she said. Leto shook his head. Here, let's have a song anyway. He began singing a salsa song and tapping out the rhythm on the side of the boat. Soon, the whole boat was singing, and Leto stood and held out a hand to Amara, inviting her to dance. Pappy, sit down, you'll fall out of the boat, Isabel's mother told him. I can't fall out of the boat because I've already fallen for this princess of the sea, he said. Amara laughed and took his hand, and the two of them danced as best they could in the swaying boat. Mammy started counting clave by clapping, and Isabel frowned, trying to follow the beat. Still can't hear it, Chabela? Leto asked. Isabel closed her eyes and focused. She could almost hear it. Almost. And then the motor spluttered and died, and the music stopped. To be continued.